Hey, what's up guys? This is Krishna here. I'm very excited to share with you Explosion with Trails tutorial series update to Houdini 18.5 sparse solver. Now I have also added some of the 18.5 features into this update. So if you haven't checked that tutorial series out, I will leave a link in the description. Please go check that out because I have explained everything in that tutorial series. This is going to be a project walkthrough, and the file is available for purchase. You can purchase it from this location here. Now please support me by purchasing the file. However, I will go through everything here right now. Okay. Anyway, right. So this is called a reference file that I created, and it is a reference file because it is referring to the original tutorial file, and I've explained this here. This is a comparison reference file to Explosion with Tutorials original tutorial file. Okay, and I have a legend here as well. Yellow nodes represent new, purple modified, white is unchanged. And I've deleted a few nodes. All deleted nodes have been noted in appropriate places as well. Okay, and the goal was to make it as simple as possible so that the simulation can be faster, and it is significantly faster compared to the original. And also I try to retain as many nodes from the original tutorial as possible. Okay, right. So first of all, the controls, even though it's new, it's kind of like, I renamed the seed here. So this is the original, this is the new one. Okay, and as you can see in controls, I have now three options. Originally you only had seed, and then this is disappeared in this one. All right, and the seed is currently attached to @seed parameter. I'll explain that as well. And this is number of bursts and burst start frame, and this random burst, uncheck that, you get a burst line length. I'll explain that as well. The beauty of this is that not only you have control over here for simple and fast explosion results, but also you have full control of absolutely everything. You can do whatever you want with this. Okay, so let me go through this right now. As you can see, the main source is deleted, which is this one here originally. However, you've got to change something. I will just go into flare source from the original and check the rasterize, and as you can see, rasterize in the original tutorial were always connected to main source, and just like that in the rasterize voxel size. Okay, and just like that, it was the same with the shock wave. Everything was still connected to the main source. Now in the new one, flare source, if I go into flare source and rasterize, I've changed them to the appropriate sources. Okay, that's important, so just do that for everything here as well. It is currently shockwave source, so I modified all of those. Okay, and another beautiful thing is that if I go into pyrosim here, you will see a number of simulations. Let me see here. Actually, you know what? If I go into main source, maybe inside of the popnet, yeah, here I've set constant activation at frame number 4. So if you this is happening everywhere in the original file. Okay, now if you were to change when you want the explosion to occur, you will have to change all of these numbers. Even in main source it is the same. I'm pretty certain. Yeah, see, you'll have to change in many places. That is not happening here anymore. You can choose the explosion to occur at any frame you want. It'll just automatically propagate all across the board, and it'll just work. Okay, so that's good. Right, so let me go through the controls now. I'm going to make this full screen here, and Control B, that's fine. I've disabled the simulations because I don't want that to take time. All right, okay, so I'm going to dive into, I'm already in flare source here. As per the legend, the yellow nodes are new and purple are modified. Okay, and the white are unchanged. So you see a bunch of yellow nodes here, and I have some information here as well. So you can change the explosion center, geo to scatter points, and change scatter force total count to more than 1 for multi-burst, change the start frame, change the offset start frame for multi-burst. Okay, so I will explain what's going on there. All right, so I will actually go to this file here. This file is basically, I used the shelf tool, a ground explosion, and I created this. And in here you get 2 nodes when you click on that. And if I go inside of ground explosion, you see all these nodes on these 4 nodes here. So that's explosion center, which is this, and then a scatter. You're scattering 3 points, and then you're setting up the initial start frame by using the attribute name called start name, and it's currently got a value of 6, so it starts the explosion at frame number 6. And then you have offset start frame. Now offset start frame, what it does is it actually offsets the bursts that are coming in, but it will definitely start at 6, and then it will create the next burst based on the adjust float offset start frame. Now if I go back to my original, you see here, let me just expand this one. So I have this explosion center, I have the scatter, and I have the initial start frame, and then I have the offset frame. Okay, so what's happening here is that I have the explosion, which is the same, and I have the scatter, and the scatter is currently linked to our controls right here. This one, number of bursts, and if I click on here, it is the scatter points. Okay, so if I go in here to look at it, so number of bursts is scatter points. Okay, so that's what that is. So it's currently linked to that, so you can change that and then it'll just change. Okay, perfect. And the initial start frame is currently linked to the burst start frame. So if I change this, so you can see that it's changing. All right, so that's perfect. What's happening with the switch? So the switch is this here. So if I click here, you can see the solid line is coming this way, and these are dotted lines here. Okay, and if I uncheck this, all right, maybe it's not. Where is this connected? Scatter points equals 1. Oh, okay. Sorry, my apologies. So it's currently connected straight down because you only have 1 burst, which means it's a single explosion. If you have multi-burst, automatically the solid line comes through this here, because the offset start frame is only required if you have multi-burst. Okay, because if not, you just choose 1 frame and it'll just explode at that frame. An offset frame will only be useful if you are using multi-burst. Okay, that's what that is. And I've set it up in random range length of 24 and middle value and whatnot. So you can check what this is on Houdini website, side effects website, sorry. But yeah, you can copy these values if you like. So next thing is this one on this side here. So this is related to this random burst. So if I go to this switch here, it's currently coming in here because the random burst is selected. Random burst represents that if you have more than 1 scatter point, it'll create scatters all over the place, and which point is selected for which burst is random. Okay, but if you uncheck this, the line that is coming in here becomes solid, and that is because if I go through this, it's just a line on the negative x-axis, and I've deleted the line and just left the points. And see here, right, so these are 2 points. Okay, and if I look at the control scatter points, you need a minimum of 2 points. So if I increase the scatter points, not that one, sorry. If I increase the scatter points, you'll see the number of points are increasing, and here as well you can see the number of points are increasing. Let me just enable that one. There you go. So I'll leave it at 1 for now. Oh, not that one. I keep getting confused. Number of bursts. I'll leave it at that. So in here, so you select the length of this line here in the negative x direction. Of course, you can change it. You can put in a line. You can put in a curve if you want. You can do whatever you want with this. You know, you have full control of absolutely everything because you can change the position to, you know, like that. And that's crazy, but yeah, whatever. Okay, but you have full control. So if I select that one, so currently it's saying it's coming from here because it's only one burst. So one burst will only require 1 point. With a line, you require a minimum of 2 points. Okay, that's why there's a switch, because if I change the number of bursts to 2, immediately it'll go through here. All right, so that's that. Good. So I'm going to keep it at 2 for now, and I'm going to go through this. So next is I create an ID based on the point number, and then I initialize the start frame just like here. Okay, it's just separate start frame, and then I offset the start frame just like here because yeah, so that's that. All right, so maybe I should have created a similar approach just like this one for this one as well. If it is 1 point, then go straight through. If it is more than 1 point, then go through this way. But anyway, I've forgotten about it. I'll update it. I will post this file on Gumroad once I'm happy with this. Okay, might as well make the change right now. In fact, just connect that and connect this up there. Yeah, that looks good. All right, perfect. So I'll save that for now. And then this switch here, what does this do? So this is the random burst. So if I check this, it'll come from here. If I uncheck this, it'll come from here. And the reason is because this is going to be a sequential burst. So for example, you have 6 bursts here, okay? And a line length of 10, whatever, okay? So if you want the burst to happen bang, 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 bang in a sequential order, this is what you use that for, okay? Because if I go in here, which is the delete node, I'm deleting it depending on the frame number that is equal to the start frame of each point. And note here, watch here, it'll happen. You see how the bursts are happening 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all right? So it's a sequential burst. Now, if you were to choose random burst, watch what happens. It'll just happen everywhere. Oh, okay, so there's 1 point coming in. Yeah, there you can see. So this is just random bursts occurring everywhere. So you have full control of this if you want, okay? So that's what that is. All right, perfect. And let me just go back onto this side here then. So I've explained all of this, and this is just a null that is connected elsewhere. Okay, so on this side, I have these nodes, and this one is purple. That means it's modified. The only modification I believe is that the uniform scale is changed from 0.5 to 1. Just wanted to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, and that reminds me something. So if I look at this file using the ground explosion shelf tool, you can see how far the camera is. It's at least 125 meters away from the explosion. And as you can see, this is actually a very slow explosion, representing it's a big explosion. But my file, if I choose the camera is sitting around about 25 meters away. So it is a smaller explosion, high velocity, and super fast. Okay, so that's what that is. So that's one of the main differences. Anyway, so let me go back into Flare. Okay, good. So the clip is the same. It's probably time for me to just go back to the reference file. Okay, and I will make this bigger now. Okay, so if I dive into Flare source, okay, so as you can see here, there's the sphere, that's 0.5. Yeah, this is 1, and the clip and the normal and the initialized velocity are the same because there's nothing changed. Here I've deleted initialize fuel. That's because we don't need that really, so that's why. Anyway, sorry, this one. Okay, and I kept the point velocity, but I modified some stuff here. So let me go through that. So if I select point velocity here and basic, so we're saying keep incoming. That's good. In curl noise, have I changed anything in curl noise? No, nothing changed here. But I have added conical noise. Okay, so I've added conical noise and I've made the scale to go to 10. And here's the important part, right? So if I expand this a little bit, you can see here I put in a random at frame +1, meaning that generate a random number every frame +1. So it'll just give a number between 0 and 1 on every single frame. Every single frame will have a different number. And I'll fit that between 0 and 180 degrees because this is the cone angle. So let me show you actually what's going on here, right? Maybe I should just go in here. I will open this side because this is kind of annoying. Right, so where is it? Here. So if I select that and I enable visualize velocity, it'll come up like that. So maybe I'll make this bigger. All right, good. Now you can see. So if I run this, you see every frame is different, and depending on which frame you're in, the velocity will change, and the directional bias will also change, and it is pretty much the same except for I don't have the +1 here. Okay, so if I click there you go. So it's keep changing. All right. For some reason the cone angle doesn't seem to change. Let me double check what's going on here. This +1 should be inside, and okay, all right, and let me see. Yeah, so that's better. Okay, well, there you go. I make mistakes and I'm figuring it out while I'm going through this. That's great. All right, so see, as you can see, every frame the cone angle changes, and this is important because every time you change the C value, the number of bursts, the burst frame, and the what do you call this? The offset frame, it changes the velocity. So it gives you varied bursts, which is good, right? So that's what that is, and the direction is that way. Okay, so perfect. So I've explained that. That's good. The next one is the attribute noise, which is a new node, sorry. And on this one, let me just make this smaller again. I know it's probably annoying for you, but okay, actually, you know what? I'm going to go through the yellow nodes in full screen and the modified nodes in split screen. Okay, all right. So attribute noise. This is a, I think this has probably been there since version 18. But anyway, so I'm bringing in velocity. I am multiplying it, and I've just created this crazy ramp. It's no big deal. You can just choose whatever you want. Okay, and I have done the element size here as well to random frame, and it's between 0.01 to 2. So if I look at this now, if I run this, so it goes like that, right? So if you select that to that one, it's different. So that's what that is. Okay, and I have also done the warping here, which is again the same, and I chose the hybrid terrain. I changed this as well and set it to 1 to 4. So all of this makes a huge difference, you know, subtle changes, but makes a huge difference. And then next is the point wrangle. Point wrangle, where you can see there's no velocity that are going in the negative y direction anymore. Here there was, not anymore, because I don't want any. So everything I want going up. Okay, so that's what that is. Good. And the rest is the same as previous. And here I am. So to explain this, so we have the points coming in. Okay, so there you go. There is 1 point right there. We have the velocity coming in, and that's from this half sphere. Okay, and I want to copy that, because if not, it's not going to really there's not going to be any use of doing all this on this side here. So what I'm doing is, whenever the point comes in, I'm copying the sphere over to that, and I'm calling that blast source. Okay, good. Right, so I'm gonna save this right now, and I'm gonna make this split screen again. Okay, so in here I have a popnet colored purple. That means it's been modified. And if I dive into this popnet on the original, and I dive into here, and I'll make this big, just like this one. So as you can already tell, I have added a few nodes here, and these two were modified. Okay, so first modification. Source are the same, birth. Okay, so first thing is constant activation. So it's no longer tied to a particular frame. It is constantly being activated because our sources come in as per our copied points. Okay, huge difference. All right, good. The next is the seed. Okay, so in here, originally the seed was only looking at the seed parameter on the controls panel, okay, which is on this side actually. Now I've added a dollar frame, so every frame the seed will change. All right, so to give it a variation again, as I said, you know, you have full control of all this. You can delete all this if you don't want it. All right, anyway, attributes. Originally it was 16. I changed it to 4 because it was just too much. All right, particularly because if you remember, I've deleted the main source, as well as this solver is different to the original solver. Okay, all right, good. So the next is pop drag. Pop drag, I have increased the resistance to 1. It was originally 0.2, and then I've added a pop color here, which is no big deal, but this is a big deal, right? So I'm replicating the points based on what's coming in, and I'm not doing that here. And here I've said seed, change it per $F. Maybe I should have added the seed here as well. Maybe I should do that right now. Let me, because I'm explaining yellow nodes, I might as well just go in here and expand this. Okay, good. I'm going to copy this seed parameter and put it in here, plus paste raw references. Okay, there you go. So that is good. And if I let me delete this actually, and if I change this, yeah, that's good. All right, so that's fine. Back restored. Okay, and pop replicate. So there's a seed, and the life expectancy is 0.1, just like this one, I believe. Yeah, just like that one. That's good. Kill original particle. Very important. If you don't kill it, then it'll just stick around. Okay. Let me actually run this, in fact. So here. Yeah, okay. So there you go. So that's what it looks like right now. So without it, it'll look like that. See, barely anything coming out. All right. So as you can see, so if I connect that, it goes out like that, which is what I want. Okay, and it happens whenever our sphere comes into play. Okay, good. And previously it wasn't the case. In our original file here, if I run this one now, see, that's the kind of thing we originally had. Okay, so that's been changed now. All right, good. So, and the shape, I brought the uniform scale to 0 because I wanted to start from the exact point. I don't want any, scales, because if you put in scale here, it'll all look like that, okay? And I don't want that. All right, good. Next is noise. I added some noise. You can copy the parameters here. Attributes, I added to the inherited velocity, and I increased it by 1 so that it goes faster, and I gave it a variation of 5. Okay, good. So that's that. And pop drag, I added a resistance on top of the existing resistance that is coming in, because if you don't have this, it's just going to go crazy, right? So yeah, so this will be too big. Okay. All right, so if I add that, it'll be a manageable level. Good. Then I added a color. So all of this should be green. Yeah, that's right. If I don't kill the particles, so let me show you what that is. Where is it? Here. If I don't kill the particles, then you'll see some red at the start. Maybe not there. I can see a little bit. You can see the reds here, okay? And I'm killing those particles, okay? I don't need them. There's no point. All right, good. So that is that. Good. So they were the only changes. All right, good. So I'm going to go back out. So here, so I'm just going to have to make this split screen again. I'll get out of this one, and I will make this big. Okay. And I will make this one big as well. Initialize P scale deleted. Do you remember last in the tutorial I said if we are using attribute randomize and we are using the operation set value, then it's not going to look at anything that is coming in. For this to work, you need to change the operation to anything but set value. So this was already disabled in the original, so I deleted it this time to keep it nice. Nothing has been changed to random P scale. The trail, something has been changed there. Let me check what's going on. Right, so the trail increment will now be based on the substep. And that is because, I don't know if you played around with the original trails tutorial, but you may have some weird artifacts when you're using trails and the substeps are not going in line, especially when you use the add node and resample. So I don't know if I can show you, but I think there was one particular part where we had that problem. I think it was the it is the flares, actually. If you go and check the flares part, which I believe is part 2, so check that out. Anyway, so now it's currently hooked up to the substep, 1 divided by the substep, and by minimum I have a substep of 4 here. Okay, so the trail increment will be 0.25. all right, good. That's what has been changed on that one. And add chain hasn't changed, resample hasn't changed, jitter scale, none of this. Oh, jitter scale, yes. So in jitter scale, what have I changed? I think I changed the change this curve a little bit. Yeah, that's all that has been changed. I can't pull this. So the curve has been changed slightly because you can see here this is sitting at 0 and this is sitting at 149 right now. Okay, so that's the change. All right, so nothing has been changed here. So let me just show you what happens on this side. So that's what you're getting right now. Okay, now if you start to see problems, like even though I put in this trail increment thing, you may see some problems depending. If you're only changing the seed value, you won't see any issues, but if you're customizing the entire file or some parts of the file, you may see some errors here. If you do, then put in a time warp node, and not time warp, is it? What is it? Time. Yeah, it is time warp. Okay, so put in a time warp node and check interpolate between input frames. Maybe I should do that right now, in fact. Okay, Yeah, I'll put it here. Without it, with it. Maybe not a good idea at this point. Maybe in here. Yeah, that's what we want. All right, good. So put in interpolate between input frames. Okay, so you want to change the input and output frame rate. So that'll be $RF and $RF and as well. Okay, so that way it'll just stick to whatever it's supposed to be. Okay, and the important part is it will interpolate between the frames. Okay, so that you won't get that error. So I will color this yellow. Good. The add, resample are the same. Jitter scale I've explained. These are all the same. That's good. So attribute noise have been deleted. So let me go through that. So here, let me just make this big. Okay, so the attribute noise has been deleted here, okay, which is up here, but it should be down here. All right, that's because it was originally disabled and I didn't need it. And in create fuel, it is purple because I, first of all, what did I do? Fuel, temperature, velocity, burn. Okay, so here's a big difference. In 18.5, I didn't want to use the fuel anymore, okay? So I changed it to burn, and I brought in the temperature as usual, velocity, but I added divergence and I added density as well. Okay, and this is an important node here. So f at age mult is an absolute of 1 minus n age. What is n age? N age is normalized age. So if you set up a particle to have a lifespan of 5 seconds, for an example, it will be converted to a value between 0 and 1. Okay, so that's what the normalized age is. So the age starts from 0 and ends in 5, but with normalized age, it starts with 0 and ends in 1. The values are manipulated based on its full span. 1 minus n age will give me the current life left of that particle, and I'm using that as the age multiplier. If not, it'll start from 0, end up in 1. Instead, I want it to start in 1 and end in 0, okay? Because I'm actually multiplying that with the burn. So burn is multiplied by the age multiplier and the curve U attribute, which we know comes from the resample node, okay, which I have explained in the previous tutorial. And I've put in a multiplier on top, which is technically, this is a burn multiplier. Okay, I'll just call it mult. And I'm doing the same with the temperature. Temperature is multiplied by the age multiplier and the curve U and a separate multiplier called temperature multiplier. Okay, that's what that is. And if I now select that, make this big, and so there is that. Okay, I have a color node here which will tell me I'm currently looking at temperature. As you can see, these are all 0 and it's really hot down here. Okay, and if I choose let's say burn, it'll be pretty much the same. There you go. It's much less, but yeah, it's pretty much the same. This is all 0 up here, and it's much hotter compared to the ones up here. Okay, and that's why I use that. I have this set to temperature. Okay, good. This is a new node as well. So I've already explained the attribute noise have been deleted, and the rasterize, the only change here, or well, the two changes are I added all of the elements that I'm bringing in create fuel into rasterize, which is all the attributes here, on top of what was already there. And I changed the settings to flare source, and if you scroll this further, you must change this also, because this one also was connected to main source. Okay, so that's good, and I divided by 4 at the end. I think this was default, right? So that's basically our flare source done. Okay, so we will move on to shockwave. Okay.